Welcome and welcome back to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And today we're going to take a look at something straight out of the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix N. Some inspirational reading suggestions from Gary Gygax and one of the many appendices from that wonderful tome right there. Right? Hey, actually pointed to the right direction the first time that time. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, Appendix N, what's that all about? Well, it was a whole bunch of suggestions at the time. Now remember, this was released in 79, so he probably wrote this in 78, maybe 77. Maybe it's one of the first things he wrote, or maybe it's something he kind of tallied up as he was writing the rest of the book, because there was a lot to put in there. And gotta say, there's a lot of stuff here. We've been going over some of it, but right at the bottom of the list, Roger Zelazny. Kind of a particularly special entry because he was a very prolific author. Famous, of course, for, well, mentioned in the inspirational reading is the book Jack of Shadows. We'll get to that in a little bit, but probably Zelazny was most famous for his Hugo and Nebula Award winning series, which was The Chronicles of Amber, which started with this one, Nine Princes of Amber. Hey, we should look over at that wiki page. What do we got over there? Oh, yeah, let's get rid of that so we can see right there. Boom. Always good. Check out Wikipedia. Donate to them from time to time. I do. They do a lot of the heavy lifting for getting to know stuff. Did they get some things wrong? In the early days of Wikipedia, that was kind of the joke. The running joke that if you got any information from Wikipedia, you were probably going to be getting some bad info. But truth be told, over the years, it has become quite the source for information of all sorts. Roger Joseph Zelazny, May 13th, 1937 to June 14th, 1995. Passed away at the age of 58. Fantasy and science fiction writer. Short stories, novels, best known for The Chronicles of Amber. He won the Nebula Award 3 times, nominated 14 times, 6 times Hugo Award out of 14 nominations, including 2 Hugos for novels, the serialized novel and Call Me Conrad, 65, and This Immortal, and the novel Lord of Light, 67. Interesting. Died at the age of 58. 58. So prolific. Kind of puts things in perspective that by the time he was my age, he'd been dead for 5 years, if I can rewrite and steal a line from Tom Lehrer. Born in Euclid, Ohio. Creative writing clubs. BA in English. Columbia University, MA in 1962, the year I was born. U.S. Social Security Administration. There you go. Fanzine. You know what might be themes? He borrowed from everything. Everything historical and mythological were sources for him to pick up and adjust to his own fictional and metaphorical ends. Inspired a lot of different authors, obviously. But let's jump over. I mean, we could go over forever on these awards right there, right? But let's pop over to that bibliography and just look at first 5 books. Chronicles of Amber, 2 distinct series of 5 novels and several short stories. 9 Princes of Amber was the first one in 1970. On through 78, he knocked out the first 5. Prince Corwin of Amber, lead character in those. And then Corwin's son Merlin, also a.k.a. Merle, in the next 5 that ran from 85 through 91, published. And then a series, short stories here and there. It's got to be hard to write a big series like Amber and keep it on track when occasionally some other idea, hey, wouldn't it be great if over here something else was happening? Or what about this character? Oh, I'd like to expand on this one character and explore a little something they might have done. But it doesn't fit with the main series. So, throw together a short story, right? Write down the notes for it. Maybe explore it later in a full novel or something larger, or just put together a short story after you've finished off all of your 2 collections, your 2 5-book collections. Lovely. So, well worth exploring if you read 9 Princes in Amber and enjoy it. You'll have yourself a lot more to read. But that's that. You can check out the wiki page on that if you want. Although, to get into the plot, you could avoid spoilers by just not going there. Pick it up, read it. You can get it for a few bucks, an old copy, an old paperback on eBay. Or pick it up at your local library. It's an old enough book, 1970, that almost assuredly they have it, or somewhere in their library network they will be able to procure it for you. But keep an eye also out for Jack of Shadows. It's the one book that Gary calls out individually as part of the Zelazny bibliography that he felt. Now, of course, it's an early 70s publication, and Zelazny was writing through the time of his death in 95, so there's another 20 years of writing that went on after this inspirational reading list was published. So let's not mistake the fact that there's a lot more there than what was in that Appendix N that was published after the actual appendix was published. Anywho, look into it. Roger Zelazny. We'll get back to some of this other stuff. I've been avoiding some of the heavy hitters like Tolkien and Vance and some of the others that Edgar Rice Burroughs that probably pop out as being household names for people that aren't even gamers or into science fiction or fantasy. But we'll get into those a little later and check those out. But for today, we were definitely exploring the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix N, inspirational reading from Gary Gygax, featuring today Roger Zelazny's science fiction, such as Nine Princes in Amber, and of course Jack of Shadows. Don't forget, the show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, then it's archived on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, thumbs up, recommend, share, do all those fun things. It would be very much appreciated. You can also help me make more videos like this one by becoming one of my supporters on Patreon. There is a free level. It just lets me know that you're supporting the show and thanks me for doing it. Some of my Patreon supporters include Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Varden of the D&D 20, Dave O'Brien, Heidi and Eric Gygax Garland of Gaxland, Vince Ragusa, The Maroon Room, a prog rock band, Unauthorized User, Daniel Caldwell of the Griffin and Gargoyle, and, as always, Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.